Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my versus video between the Nike KD14 and the Nike KD15. So both of these shoes are amazing performers. I absolutely love the KD14. It's actually one of my favorite shoes to play in, like, of all time. That's how good it is and that's how much I like it, right? And the KD15, if you guys do want to watch the performance review, it'll be, well, I'll try to leave it in the description box, but the KD15 also is amazing. The tech is very similar as well, and the price is exactly the same. It's going for 150 bucks, but the KD14, I saw some colorways going for like 110 to maybe like $130, right? So it is on sale because it is an older shoe, but the KD15 is not out yet, unfortunately. It's on Nike.com, but it says coming soon. So this Volt colorway, I believe, is coming out on the 30th, and then there's another colorway coming out on the 25th. But if you don't want to wait, you guys can always get it on like GOAT or StockX. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But let's get started off with the Tracciones, right? Both of these are top tier performers. Amazing stop on a clean court. You're not gonna have any problems at all. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna stop on a dime. It feels like you're playing on glue, all the good stuff. So there is the performance on the clean court. On a dusty court, also, they're both absolutely amazing. KD14, very minimal dust pickup, and also it's a very easy and very slight wipe. You just go boom and you're good to go, right? Same thing with the KD15, a very minimal dust pickup and also a very easy wipe, right? And they're both extremely different patterns, as you guys can see, but the rubber compound they use is really good. So if you're playing on a dusty court, they're both extremely good, but I would actually say the KD14 picks up just a tiny bit less dust. But that's just me nitpicking. Of course, I am doing a comparison video and a versus video, so I do have to mention that. But like I said, if you're playing on a dusty court with the KD15, you're still gonna have a very good time. It's just the KD14 is just a tiny bit better, right? As far as the durability goes, I feel like the KD14 is just gonna be a little bit better for outdoor use. If you actually feel these lines, the rubber is actually quite hard. And I guess the grooves are a little bit deeper as well. I mean, if you feel this part, it's super soft, right? So that definitely does suck, but the lines, the rubber is a little bit harder. The KD15, however, this pattern is just really soft, right? It's easily moved with my fingers, and it's this entire outsole, as you guys can see. So as far as durability goes, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit better for the KD14. However, I don't recommend playing on outdoor court in either of these shoes. So as far as the overall performance goes, the KD14 is just a tiny bit better, but they're both extremely good. So moving on to the heel to toe transition. So here in the KD14, in the heel, we have a nice curve shape and a fully exposed midsole, as you guys can see, right? So you have nice compression, it's super soft here in the heel, and then we have a nice curve shape in the forefoot and a lot of forefoot flex. So heel to toe transition, super smooth. Same thing here in the KD15. But like I said, it is a versus video and it's a comparison, and the KD15 is just a tiny bit, it's not clunky, right? The KD15 definitely is not clunky, but it's caged here in the back of the heel, so it doesn't allow the cushion to compress as much in the heel, so it feels just a tiny bit stiffer. Like I said, it's not clunky or anything. It's just I feel like I like the KD14 just a little bit better because it is smoother. Also, there's still like pretty good compression here in the heel, and then here in the forefoot we have a nice curve shape and a lot of forefoot flex, right? So they're both very smooth, and when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, you're gonna feel really good. In both of the shoes, it's just the KD15 is a little bit like stiffer in the heel because of the caging, right? Also, we have a midfoot chain plate in both of the shoes. It's just a different design, but they both have good torsional support. As far as the cushioning setup goes, so the KD15, we were bamboozled, right? As far as the leaks go, they said it was going to be React, and I was super excited because I love React, and it's not React. It's actually Cushlon. So shout out to the Soul Squad for telling me. So it's weird, right? So when I checked Nike's site, on the Volt colorway, the tech specs, it just says foam, like soft foam. But then on the other colorway, it's like a navy color. In that colorway, for the tech specs, it says it's Cushlon, which is weird. I don't know why they would do that. So I apologize for that. But anyways, I'm just gonna tell you how it feels. It still feels a little bit stiffer than the KD14, right? And the overall like foam feels a little bit stiffer, and there's not as much compression in the heel. And also because of this cage. right? So because of that, it feels a little bit more responsive than the KD14. However, in my personal opinion, I absolutely loved how the compression felt in the heel because I like a softer foam in the heel, right? So for me, I like the KD14 just a little bit better in the heel, but I do know some people that thought the KD14 was a little too soft and a little too mushy. And if you felt that in the KD14, the KD15 definitely does a good job and makes it a little bit more stiff and a little bit more responsive. There's still nice compression though and still feels soft, but it's just not as soft as the KD14. So just keep that in mind. Everything else about the cushioning setup is very, very similar, right? So both of these shoes are using full-length Zoom Strobel units, which is really bouncy. There's a lot of compression right underneath your foot. The insole is also exactly the same. They're using like a styrofoam like insole, which I don't think is great. I wish they would use like a foam insole, like an Ortholite. But either way, insole's the same. Court feel, they're both exactly the same as well. They both have good court feel. I mean, it's not terrible and it's not amazing, right? So something amazing as far as court feel goes would be like the Harden Volume 6 or like the PG6, right? These are a little bit higher up off the ground because of the Zoom Strobel units, but I mean, you still have good court feel, so I have no issues with that. Impact protection also is amazing, especially on heel strikes. I really had no issues with that. My feet really never hurt at all on hard impacts, right? But of course, inherently for me, playing in full-length Zoom Strobel units, my feet do hurt if I'm playing it for a prolonged time, right? So after like a couple games, like 2, 3, 4 games, I'm good to go, I'm fine. But if I play for a couple of hours, my feet really do start to hurt as opposed to like, you know, if I'm playing like the Hardens or the PG6. And that's just how Zoom Strobel is for me personally. It's happened all the way since like the KD12, you know. And I feel like a lot of you guys have said the same thing. When you play in Zoom Strobel units, like the full length one, your feet start to hurt a little bit as well. So do keep that in mind, but it's a very similar cushioning setup. It's just a little bit more responsive here in the KD15. All right, moving on to the materials. They both feel extremely similar as well on foot, right? So here in the toe box, they're both extremely soft, right? Like it moves very easily with the movement of your foot. I would actually say the KD15 is a little bit softer. The KD14 feels a little bit more supportive, but they're both the same thickness. And as far as the quality goes, I definitely like the KD15 better. You know, the KD14 had this like really cheap feeling overlay over this like screen mesh, which I don't think felt like good for quality. The mesh material here in the KD15 feels a little bit better. However, for 150 bucks, I still feel like they should give us better materials, right? For the tongue though, we have nice padding, and I would actually say it's identical. And here in the ankle area, they both have nice padding. However, the KD14 has a little bit more padding. It feels a little bit cozier in the back of the heel, right? So on foot, they both feel extremely similar. Of course, here in the KD14, we have the strap, which I don't like all too much. It doesn't really help with support. It makes the shoe more annoying to lace up as well. And also on the medial side, like, it looks terrible in my opinion, you know? Here in the KD15, we have this cage, right? Also, the laces go through it. So when you tighten up the laces, it kind of tightens the cage over your midfoot a little bit as well. So we have it on both the lateral and medial side, and I feel like it also looks better. And there is a functional purpose to it as opposed to the strap in the KD14. So because of that, I feel like the quality is a little bit better. I feel like the KD15 is better for material, but they both feel really, really similar on foot. So for performance, it's pretty much the same. All right, moving on to the fit. I went true to size for both of the shoes and they both fit extremely snug. I really, really like it. So my toes go pretty much right to the edge of both of the shoes, right? And they're both extremely narrow. So watch out if you're a wide footer. And also they're both really snug here in the toe box, which I like. The KD15, however, does get a little bit roomier once you break in this material, right? This mesh, like I said, is not as supportive as the KD14. The KD14 material doesn't stretch out as much, right? So the KD15 gets a little bit roomier, and if you feel like at first it's a little too tight, just give it some time and it'll stretch out, right? But for the most part, they're both extremely similar in fit. So whatever size you got in the KD14, you can pretty much go the same exact size in the KD15. Alright, moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, I had zero issues. They're both extremely good. My foot was not coming out of the footbed at all. So we have this midfoot plastic piece. We have an internal TPU heel counter in the KD14. In the KD15, we have this midfoot cage and an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment, I was good to go in both of the shoes. However, the KD15, I did experience a little bit of heel slippage, right? So the KD14, I had zero. My heel was locked down. It felt really, really good. But when I was playing in the KD15s, it wasn't crazy bad heel slippage, right? Like my heel wasn't coming out of the shoe really at all. It was just moving up and down just a tiny bit, and it just didn't feel as locked down as I would like, right? So it wasn't a deal breaker or anything. I could definitely deal with it very easily, and I really didn't notice it all too much. But the times that I did notice it is when I was switching from like the KD14 or like another shoe that has good heel lockdown into the KD15. I'd be like, ooh, the 15 doesn't feel as good in the heel as far as lockdown goes, and then I kept playing in it and I just got used to it and it wasn't a huge deal, right? But if you want a shoe that has really good heel lockdown, then obviously go with the KD14. As far as the lateral stability goes, they're both really good, right? They're both very wide as far as the base goes, here in the forefoot and here in the heel. So lateral stability, they're both good. Ankle support, as you guys can tell, the KD14 is a mid top, and then the KD15 is a low top. So you would think the KD14 is better for ankle support, but it's actually not. I actually have pretty good ankle mobility here in the KD14. So, I mean, it's not the best, but if you want something over your ankle and you want a little bit of ankle support, then obviously go with the KD14. But in my personal preference, I like playing lows better. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, it's like pretty similar in weight, right? So 12.73 ounces for the KD15 and 12.59 ounces. So 0.1, 0.2 ounces, not a big deal. That's like nothing, right? So yeah, pretty much the same exact weight, and they both feel extremely responsive, right? So when you're playing in them, you feel really quick. The shoe does what you want it to when you tell it to, right? When you want to do a crossover, it's very responsive. There's really no lag to it, in my personal opinion. Like I said, some people thought the Cushlon here in the KD14 was a little too soft and a little mushy. So you might feel that the KD15 is a little bit more responsive. But for me personally, they're both really, really good, and I enjoy playing in both of the shoes. All right, moving on to the ventilation, they're both good. We have good airflow through this mesh material, and also here in the KD14 through this screen mesh. But in the tongue, we have these perforations, right? As you guys can see, and in the KD14 we don't really have anything. So the KD15 is a little bit cooler, and also of course we have a low top, so there's nothing over the ankle bone. So the KD15 is just a tiny bit cooler than the KD14. As far as the aesthetics go, yeah, the KD15 much better. The KD14, I absolutely love playing in the shoe, but man, the aesthetics is just, I always say this and I feel bad. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the design. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, performance wise, I would actually say I like the KD14 better, right? I like the softer heel. You know, I had no problems with it being too soft or mushy. The traction is just a tiny bit better on dust, and there is no heel slippage, right? So because of those reasons, although they are pretty minor, I do like the KD14 better. But of course, if you want the more responsive shoe, and like if you thought the KD14 was a little too mushy for the Cushlon, then the KD15 is a great option. And of course, you know, the heel slippage, not a huge deal. I feel like most people wouldn't mind it all too much. So yeah, when I was playing both of these shoes, they both felt really similar, right? Very, very similar performance, very similar in play style. So there's just very minor differences. And those minor differences, like I said, aren't big deals, but because they are there, I do like the KD14 better, although the KD15 is still super nice. But anyways, that about concludes this versus video. Hope this video helped you guys out, and again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.